Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the magical world of biology, the place where new things about life and how things work are discovered every day. Today, I'm going to be leading you on a super fantastic field trip adventure of the plant cell. But first, you will need to know about cell theory. Modern cell theory states this, that 1. The cell is the fundamental unit of structure and function in living things. 2. All living things are composed of cells. And 3. Cells come from pre-existing cells. Like animals, plants are made up of cells. Because of the many similarities, plants, animals, fungi, and many other microorganisms are all classified as eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are the cells that contain a nucleus with linear DNA, a cell membrane, and cytoplasm. Eukaryotes are bounded by a membranous nuclear envelope, membrane-bound organelles, and can be single or multicellular. Also, it ranges from 10 to 100 microns. They are generally larger than prokaryotic cells. Most cells of eukaryotes contain dozens of other specialized structures called organelles. Even though plant cells and animal cells are similar, plant cells differ in several different ways. Plant cells do not have lysosomes, centrosols, intermediate filaments, cilia, or flagella. Plant cells do have cell walls, chloroplasts, and large central vacuoles, unlike animal cells. Plant cells have many different organelles in them, and we are going to explore those right now. Here we go! We are currently entering the plant cell wall. The main function of the cell wall is to provide support and protect the cell. Most cell walls allow water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other substances to pass through them. Most cell walls are made up of fibers of carbohydrates and proteins. The cell produces these substances, which are then released at the surface of the cell membrane, and from there they are assembled to form the wall. All cells are surrounded by a cell membrane. A cell membrane is the thin, flexible outer boundary of the cell, which regulates what enters and what leaves the cell. Also, the cell membrane provides the cell with strong protection and support. A membrane is said to be selectively permeable, meaning that some substances can pass across them, while others can't. The cell membrane has a very intricate molecular structure. This structure is composed of a double-layered sheet called a lipid bilayer. The lipid bilayer gives cell membranes its flexible structure that forms a strong barrier between the cell and its surrounding. The cell membrane contains protein molecules of various sizes embedded in the layers. There are many other molecules that are attached to the cell membrane, such as cholesterol, glycolipids, integral proteins, oligosaccharides or sugars, glycoproteins, peripheral proteins, hydrophilic polar heads, and hydrophobic core. The movement of materials across the cell boundary and into or out of the cell is given the term transport. There are two different types of transport, passive and active transport. Passive transport is the diffusion of substances across the membrane, which requires no energy on the part of the cell to move molecules. However, passive transport does depend on the heat energy within the cell to increase the frequency with which molecules move. Active transport requires the use of some energy that is stored in the ATP molecules in the cell to move molecules that can't cross the phospholipid bilayer on their own, from where they are less concentrated to where they are more concentrated. Alright class, now that we've gotten past the cell wall and the cell membrane, we are going to explore the rest of the cell. You see those little round balls floating everywhere around us? These are called ribosomes. They are small particles made out of ribonucleic acid and protein. Ribosomes use the information from the DNA that comes from the nucleus to produce proteins. One of the most important jobs carried out in the cell is making these proteins. There are two different types of ribosomes, bound ribosomes and free ribosomes. Free ribosomes cite the protein synthesis, which are suspended in the cytosol. They also produce proteins for the use within the cell. Bound ribosomes attach to the outside surface of the endoplasmic reticulum. They also produce proteins for the use outside the cell or for the use in the cell membrane. Now on some more exciting things within the plant cell. The fluid that is all around us is called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the water-based fluid that fills the entire region between the nucleus and the cell membrane. All of the organelles in the cell are suspended in cytoplasm. Cytoplasm maintains the internal pressure of the cell, ensuring that it doesn't shrink. Also, the cytoplasm contains many important molecules and free-floating ribosomes needed for protein synthesis. Hey, wait a minute. We just learned about ribosomes. Now we can connect what we learned previously and what we just learned. How cool is that? Moving on. Look over here. You see those football-shaped looking things? Those are called chloroplasts. Only plant cells and some other organisms contain chloroplasts. Chloroplasts use the energy from sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to make energy-rich food molecules in a process known as photosynthesis. I'm sure you've heard that word before. Chloroplasts are bounded by two envelope membranes and contain large stacks of photosynthetic membranes. Chloroplasts contain green pigment called chlorophyll, which makes up the green appear in plants. This green chemical traps sunlight energy. The chlorophyll is located in the photosynthetic membrane. Oh look! We don't have to move very far until we run into something else. Right next to the chloroplasts. How funny! These organelles kind of look like a bean with a maze in the middle. They are called mitochondria. Such a big name for something so small, huh? The mitochondria are organelles that release energy from stored food molecules. Mitochondria use energy from foods such as sugars, fats, and other fuels to produce high-energy ATP compounds that the cell can use to power growth, development, and movement. Like chloroplast, mitochondria are enclosed by two envelope membranes, an outer membrane and an inner membrane. Wow, so many different things to talk about in a single plant cell. Let's move on to the next exciting organelle. Look guys, over there on the left. Those funny curvy looking things are called the Golgi apparatus. One of the Golgi apparatus's main jobs is grouping proteins and lipids and packing them into vesicles, or packets. Different molecules get different packaging. From there, the Golgi apparatus then ships off its packaging to different destinations. Some leave the cell, while others go to other organelles within the cell. Next to the Golgi apparatus is the vacuole. Vacuoles are sac-like structures that store water, salts, proteins, carbohydrates, and nutrients that the cell needs to survive. In plants, when vacuoles are low on water, the plant cell droops. But when vacuoles are full of water, the cell regains its shape. Smaller vacuoles, especially those involved in transporting substances within the cell, are often called vesicles. There are two types of vesicles, secretory and transport. Secretory vesicles carry out Golgi-modified products to the cell membrane and fuses with the cell membrane, releasing the contents into the outside wall. Transport vesicles carry the ER products of the Golgi. Alright, on to the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton is a network of protein fibers extending throughout the cytoplasm. Three types of fibers make up the cytoskeleton. Microtubules, which are the thickest of the three components of the cytoskeleton, they are very big. Microfilaments, also called actin filaments, are the thinnest components, very little. And then there's intermediate filaments, which are fibers with a diameter in the mid-range. They're medium. Whoa, what's that? Oh wait, I think I know. Those are called cilia and flagella. Microtubules control the beating of cilia and flagella. Cilia are small hair-like projections, 100 on a surface, and have like an oar-like motion. Flagella are tail-like projections, normally only 1 to 2 on an organism. They have a snake-like motion. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hold on, because we are diving into the more center of the cell. How exciting! The first wavy thing you see here that we are passing through is called the smooth ER. The smooth ER synthesizes lipids, including phospholipids and steroids. Smooth ER also metabolizes carbohydrates, detoxifies drugs and poisons, stores calcium ions, and lacks ribosomes. Well, since there's a smooth ER, don't you think there would be a rough ER? Well, there is indeed. The rough ER channels proteins to transport vesicles, as well as to attach carbohydrates to some proteins involved in membrane production through the production of vesicles, and has attached ribosomes. Whoa, that was fast. We've just entered the nucleus. Wow, time sure does fly by fast. The nucleus is a highly specialized organelle that serves as the information processing and administrative center of the cell, kind of like the mayor of a city. This organelle has two major functions. It stores the cell's hereditary material or information, or DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and it coordinates the cell's activities, which include growth, intermediary metabolism, protein synthesis, and reproduction, or cell division. Almost all eukaryotic cells, including the plant and animal cells, contain a nucleus. Guys, we are so close to entering the nucleolus. We just have to pass through this nuclear envelope first. The nuclear envelope is a double membrane that forms a boundary between the nuclear contents in the cytoplasm, and the envelope is perforated with thousands of nuclear pores, which allow material to move in and out of the nucleus. We're almost there. There is granulated material visible within the nucleus that you see all around us. This is called chromatin. Chromatin consists of DNA bound to protein and is spread throughout the nucleus. Also, it condenses to form chromosomes. Chromatin is dispersed, uncoiled, decondensed, and consists of DNA and proteins. Last but not least, the nucleolus. Finally, we made it! Most nuclei contain a small, dense region known as the nucleolus. This is where the compounds of the ribosomes are synthesized and assembled. They are always found in the nucleus. Well, gang, that concludes our super fun-tastic field trip of the plant cell. I hope you learned so much today. Come again for another magical trip.